I walked in there right out of high school.
Is that right? No
Yes.
previous internship.
Judy ran into my father, who he he had the Carnival Village and a lot of interaction with the Carnival Committee. He always took his work to St. Thomas Graphics, and then so years later now, he's talking to Judy, and Judy needs a file clerk. Okay, I'm buzzing about you know how a kid is after high school, and he wasn't paying enough attention to go to college. That was
What year? What year is this, Carl?
1982.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like, yeah, my father's like, okay, he went and found me something. But this was even before I graduated. So this was like May of 82.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after school, I went over there and was working as the file clerk. Came in there in the afternoon, and she gave me those little files that you guys were going over, and it's like, chuck them into the file cabinets. And they had massive amounts that hadn't been filed over the years. And I could see why after I worked more at St. Thomas Graphics, because it was like, that shop was operating almost 24 hours.
Was it?
And remember, this is all skill set work. So think of how many people really were available on the island. It was an age when print shops was a real thing. You couldn't get any of this stuff done yourself at home. So we had like about a dozen print shops on the island at the time. But St. Thomas Graphics was by far the largest commercial print shop. The Daily News was, of course, the largest web-run daily production print shop. And we in the Daily News were the only ones basically that would do color on a regular basis. Basically, within their budgets, we tried to make it as pretty, as elegant, and as professional as possible. Because basically, what Judy would say, everybody deserves a good job. But anyway, so what Dick and Judy would do is like the same thing that they did with me. Untrained, know nothing about the industry, pull me in out of high school, and train me up through just about all aspects of the business. So by the time the business closed, I could run every piece of equipment in there. And I was not unique with that. Okay, there were a lot of kids who were in high school coming up and would pass by there looking for a part-time job. And Dick and Judy were always happy to accommodate them. Sometimes it would just be, okay, Thursday and Fridays, we have a lot of collating to do. So you can come in and do some collating and whatnot. And usually, yeah, they would start them with those other areas. And the way Dick and Judy talked and interacted with people, they would soon find out what your aptitudes and interests were. Okay, so there were some people who came through there and everything else and went on to other things, and other people who they encouraged to stay and develop more into the profession and industry. I mean, it was a happy, humorous place. They could find a way to turn anything into something funny or a joke. And you would see it on the walls of graphics. The walls of graphics, every time he would think of a funny or witty saying or something, it would get taped to a wall in graphics. And we had it's a narrow hallway, and I had to take the picture inside the narrow hallway. So I had to sometimes go at an angle or anything else. And so some of the lettering and everything else is not as legible as you would like it to be, but it's an example, and it will show you just how many people St. Thomas Graphics affected over the years. Whenever a person spent a certain amount of time at St. Thomas Graphics, Dick or Judy would walk them into the hallway, stand them against the wall, and put a piece of red tape at the top of their head, and then write in a marker their name. And then like a year later, do it again. And again, because remember, some of these people that started from when they were in high school. And so we actually have a wall there with height markings and names, and that's basically like I said, it was like a family. You know how a parent will have the mark on the door through their height of the kid every year? That's what they were doing with the employees and writing down, and then we would compare who grew higher or lesser, who was taller or shorter or whatever. Truthfully, Dick and Judy were second parents to a lot of youth on this island. A lot of youth. The years have been good to me. I was fortunate to run across St. Thomas Graphics. They gave a kid who probably would have just spiraled down a trade and a profession. Okay, because basically from Senator White's office, I ended up with meetings in the White House and meetings with two presidents, leaders of the Senate, and all that type of stuff. And all through all that type of stuff, With a little background like that from St. Thomas graphics.
Graphics, yeah.
And Judy had this big passion about neutrality and learning where to apply neutrality even if you have a biased position. In other words, listen to everybody because everybody is a human just like you and has the same basic wants, needs, and desires. Okay, some of them are evil and criminal. You got to watch out for that. But for the most part, generally in dealing with politics and negotiations, that's where it is. Find out what they need, know what